The left, he said, was Bengal's biggest problem and worse.
The single biggest problem in Bengal today is the left front. When I go to China, the Chinese leaders are astounded at what the left front is doing in Bengal. They do not understand. And they ask me, what is going on with the communists in Bengal? With a smile on their face. The energy of Bengal, the dynamism of Bengal has been captured by this dead ideology. And it's about time that we throw this dead ideology aside.
This is the second time in less than 2 weeks that Rahul has slammed the left. At a rally in Kolkata on 6 September, he had talked of two Bengals, the prosperous one of the CPM and the other of the poor. The left had reacted sharply then, it did so again today.
In the last 5 years, the country's progress in agriculture is less than 2%, West Bengal is above 4.7%. If you see about the investment, West Bengal is the third among all the states in the country, but he should be better informed.
The Vivek Bhattacharya refused to react to Rahul's comments. But even if the left wants to take a line out of the PM to Muhammad Ali and say Rahul floats like a butterfly, they may also feel that he could sting like a bee. In Kolkata, Mangeeta Banerjee, NDTV.
The war between the BJP and the Janata Dal United and Narendra Modi seems to have reached a flashpoint, with Nitish Kumar now making it clear Narendra Modi cannot campaign in Bihar.
हमारा जो भी स्टैंड है वो जगजाहिर है, इसलिए इस बात को कहना, हम लोग अपना चुनाव देख रहे हैं और इतना तय है कि यह प्रश्न भारतीय जनता पार्टी को हल करना है। हम लोगों की तरफ से स्पष्ट बात हुई है कि पुराना अरेंजमेंट, तो जो पिछली बार का अरेंजमेंट रहा है उसी प्रकार का अरेंजमेंट होगा, इससे अधिक तो हम लोग कुछ बोलते नहीं। और बाकी ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी का अंदरूनी मसला, उनको सुलझाने दीजिए और मुझको ऐसा लगता है कि वो ठीक ढंग से ही सुलझा लेंगे।
भारतीय जनता पार्टी चुनाव अभियान में कौन आए नहीं आए इसके लिए खुद मुख्तार है और चुनाव आयोग से भी हमको खुद मुख्तारी का सर्टिफिकेट मिला हुआ है।
Well, it's time to go back now to Brigadier S.K. Saini, who's BG's Brigadier General Staff of the 15th Corps in the Kashmir Valley. Brigadier Saini, I was asking you about the appeal that the army has made to the people of Kashmir. The Hurriyat's agenda in the next couple of weeks actually calls for people to actually be coming and almost blockading army garrisons and things like that. Do you think that's a dangerous trend, and what is it that you're asking the people to do?
We have made a sincere appeal to the people to see through these sinister designs of the Hurriyat, whereby they want to create a wedge between the army and the population. And therefore, we have requested them not to fall prey to these designs and not to indulge in any kind of confrontation with the army.
Brigadier Saini, so far in all the violence that we've seen and the trouble that we've been seeing now for the last few months, the army itself hasn't actually really got involved. It's mainly been the police and the CRPF meeting, taking on the protesters and the stone pelters. Now we understand the army and the police may be working more closely together. Can you give us some details on that?
We had a core group meeting yesterday, which was chaired by the security advisor to the Chief Minister, and where a joint strategy was formulated to work out the details so as to effectively counter the protest calendar which has been issued by the Hurriyat.
But essentially, would you be still relying on the police and the CRPF to actually directly come into contact with the crowds, or is there a chance the army might be doing so as well?
No, there is no chance of the army directly confronting the mob.
Okay, we understand that the army today was also engaged in an encounter with militants. I understand 8 people were killed, 8 militants were killed today.
Yes, in the ongoing operation in the Kashmir Valley, we have eliminated 6 terrorists besides recovering bodies of 2 terrorists who had been killed earlier. Large quantity of warlike stores and sophisticated satellite communication equipment has been recovered. And so far, during the month of September, 30 terrorists have been killed during the month, with 15 killed on the line of control and balance in the hinterland.
All right, Brigadier Saini, thank you so much for joining us on a day when the army did make that direct appeal to the people of Kashmir, saying that the army had always stood by them. Brigadier Saini, thank you for being with us. The PCB chief, Ijaz Butt, was in Delhi today to meet the ICC President Sharad Pawar, essentially to discuss the match fixing scandal and also the possibility of resuming India-Pakistan cricketing ties. In an exclusive interview to NDTV's Barkha Dutt, he denied reports that Mohammad Ali might turn approver.
You and Scotland Yard, the board in the Scotland Yard made a joint statement that these players are to be presumed innocent unless they're proven guilty. But if
not proven, they have stated that they are innocent.
they are innocent as
There have been no charges leveled at them. The factual position is that the news of the world publish something. Now, I would advise you to read that entire allegation in the news of the world. If you read the entire thing in that news of the 18 pages of it, and then you would see the allegation and the charges, the other newspapers and statements and cross-statements here, England and Pakistan, they are incorrect.
Are you saying the charges are not that serious and do not reflect on the game?
All charges, when they're still there as charges, they have not leveled any specific charge against the boys. Once they charge you, then they punish you, and then you have to. There is currently, even they have the initial investigation. They, came and searched all the three boys' rooms, which we protested to very strongly, because this is something which we have done without. We were, myself and ECB chairman, the match was between PCB and ECB, were both there at 5:30 at Lord's. They didn't inform us. They went and informed MCC. We have nothing to do directly with the matches or anything.
Okay, but Sharad Pawar today, and you were there, spoke about ruthless action if the players are found guilty.
Yes.
Would the PCB back the ICC on ruthless action if these charges...
Not back, we will do that.
What about reports of Mohammad Amir being willing to be an ICC informant?
This is some news to me, it's not correct.
It's just completely media speculation.
I think so.
But you heard your former president saying he's a young boy, some leniency should be shown to him. You said no lihaz if they're guilty. Do you believe that Amir should be treated as a different case in this particular...
Depends on what's the outcome. Outcome cannot be the same for all three people. No, maybe different. Let the Scotland Yard situation come forward. Let the ICC thing come forward. Then we will see what we need to do. But there is no question of any liens. If they are, this is not something which is disturbing and painful to Pakistan and the Pakistan public and the PCB and people in Pakistan only. It's a very problematic issue for cricket itself, for ICC and cricket, because you can't let this thing happen.
So ICC, that include Pakistan board also, will never tolerate any nonsense or any corruption in the game of cricket. We like to maintain the sanctity of the cricket.
High drama at the Andhra Pradesh High Court, where lawyers from the Telangana region have been protesting. A short while back, earlier in the day, a lawyer tried to set himself on fire, but he was stopped by the other lawyers before he could do much damage to himself. The lawyers have boycotted work at the court for 3 days now. 3 of the protesting lawyers are also on hunger strike. They are demanding 42% quota in judicial posts. The RBI has hiked the rate at which it lends to banks by 0.25%. It's also hiked the rate at which it borrows money from banks by 50 basis points. As a result of all of that, home loans rates are expected to go up. Well, let's return now to one of the big stories of the day. Tomorrow, a last-ditch effort to try and find some sort of a negotiated settlement to the Ayodhya dispute a week or so before the verdict comes up. Also, an attempt being made to try and delay the verdict on grounds that it may possibly lead to problems with law and order, and I guess that's a particular concern right now just ahead of the Commonwealth Games. So what really has been the issue out here, and is there any chance at all of a delay or a negotiated settlement? Take a look at this special report.
Friday could see a last-minute twist to the Babri Masjid title suit case. The verdict is scheduled for the 24th of September, but an application fearing law and order trouble wants the court to defer the Babri title suit verdict. This means yet another twist in the 60-year-old legal battle, which shows no sign of abetting or compromise.
एक पैसे भी एक इंच पर भी कंप्रोमाइज की कोई संभावना नहीं है, ना एक इंच कर सकते.
These files contain the Muslim pleas, depositions and arguments in the Ayodhya dispute. The Sunni Waqf Board counsel Zafar Jirani is worried that the application threatens to delay the judgment by at least 6 months.
One judge is retiring on 1st of October, so at least his nominee, his substitute will have to be nominated by the Chief Justice. That some subjects, arguments have to be restarted. Before that, newly constituted bench, and they may take 6 months or more.
First there was anxiety over the verdict. Now the application has raised the apprehension. The worst jitters are in the Sangh Parivar, given the dispute's political connect. Unsure which way the verdict will go, a plan is unfolding. The VHP, which will spearhead the Sangh Parivar's response, has started since August 17th these prayer meets at temples across UP. Win or lose, these men will travel door to door, spreading awareness about the Ram temple.
20 years ago, the word Ayodhya meant action for the Saffron Parivar. Today, the Parivar is asking its cadres to exercise caution. At the BJP headquarters in Lucknow, there are no crowds. Sign that the Parivar is realizing that it is easier to contest a political legal battle over an emotive issue. But Judgment Day is too hot to handle.
संघ हमेशा प्रयास करेगा कि सब कुछ शांतिपूर्ण ठीक ठाक हो, और यही हम सब हमारे कैडर्स को संदेश देंगे.
Irrespective of what happens in court tomorrow, the Ayodhya word is creating apprehensions, which is why the state government has raised a matrix of security to ensure that nothing untoward happens tomorrow. With Rahul Srivastava and camera person Ramesh Verma in Lucknow, Anand Zanane for NDTV.
And let's just take a look at what might be on the cards tomorrow and indeed next week. We're now being joined by Abhishek Singhvi of the Congress Party. Zafar Jalani is also joining us, somebody who is very closely associated with the Babri Masjid Action Committee and all that is happening in 1992 out there. Swapan Das Gupta with us as well to bring us a slightly different perspective. Abhishek Singhvi, let me just start with you. The fact that today the government appealed for peace and also these attempts to try and somehow put off the verdict, delay it, have a negotiated settlement. Is this really a matter which the Congress would much prefer remain buried rather than be brought to the forefront again, which might happen if a verdict comes out next week?
In a sense, Vikram, any answer I give would sound a bit vague, because we are all speculating, and we are doing so in immediate advance of a court judgment about which we know nothing. But let me put it like this: all right-thinking people have to say one thing which might sound rhetorical in general, but it's important. Judgments mean that somebody has to lose some, somebody has to win some. Although it's not black and white, there could be a gradation of a third grey, but even then somebody will get less than expectation, somebody will get more than expectation. So the most important thing is for all stakeholders to maintain calm within their respective areas of influence, communities, etc. Number two, there is a right of appeal. I'm now talking law, I'm now talking a ladder of the court process. And therefore, grievances, emotions can be vented in appeals by whichever side. Number three is a facet of perhaps parties, and I'm speculating again, perhaps parties to the litigation maintaining a certain quietus or a certain dignity and not altercating, but yet other people who are not in their control or persons who are not formally parties to the litigation but who have very strong vested interest in the whole thing, stoking up feelings. Now that's the area which is, I think, of maximum concern to the government. You and I are parties and we maintain a certain amount of calm, but the others are either encouraged by us indirectly or on their own create a situation, and that's, I think, a very terrible thing to do. And last but not the least, there is no formal official move by the government, let me clarify, of any kind, or not even formal or any other kind of move also, as you put it, to try to defer or have a negotiated settlement. Those are applications by others.
and they are upfront applications where the court had itself given a order saying anybody who wants can come in and try to defer the matter.
Okay, I think the point I was trying to make was that Congress would probably prefer it if the matter was put off just for now, in one way or the other. Ideally, I guess, from the Congress's point of view, buried forever. But Zafir, let me just come to you next. Do you think, A, there is still the possibility after 60 years of trying a negotiated settlement can come forward, and B, if this matter is deferred, it really means that, in a sense, a lot of it is going to have to start off again because one of the judges is going to retire. The process almost starts off again. Do you think that's already a realistic scenario looking ahead?
I will clarify one thing, that tomorrow's hearing is not at the initiative of the court. The court had fixed 27th of July for this purpose, and the court asked the counsels representing different parties in the chamber that whether, in order to ascertain whether there was any likelihood of a settlement between the parties out of the court, or parties were willing to enter into a settlement inside the court. The court then passed an order on the same date that there appeared to be no point of settlement. Therefore, the court said that we do not proceed further. However, if the parties, both the parties, so desire, they can leave the court. So the parties have not moved the court. It is only one single person who had not even taken part on 27 July in the deliberations. Okay. He has moved application. So it is not the initiative of the court that the parties, court has asked the parties. Okay. On the request of one party, the court has fixed the date of tomorrow, and other parties who are contesting parties, they are all opposing this move. They are saying that now there is no time for compromise, and when the matter has not been compromised for the last 19 years, because first negotiations were formally started by the Prime Minister Chandrasekhar. Therefore, there is no sense in wasting this time, and the judgment may kindly be pronounced on the given date. So that this 60-year-old litigation doesn't get
a verdict on the 24th. Swapan Das Gupta, where do you think just as an analyst, where do you think the BJP's stakes will lie in this? How do you think the BJP is going to respond one way or the other? Either if eventually the verdict goes, says that there was a temple, or for that matter, if the verdict says there was no temple, what do you think the BJP is going to be saying or hoping for?
Well, you see, it is a bit irresponsible at this juncture to speculate, to reflect what the grapevine in Delhi and other places are talking about possible verdicts. So, that would be a bit irresponsible and to preempt the judgment. Now, there are two major events which are happenings which are taking place prior to the judgment. One is an attempted negotiated settlement, bit late in the day, because such a thing should have been undertaken much earlier. In fact, the last occasion it was undertaken was in 2004 when there was an NDA government thing, and after that it's been left more or less with the mantra that it's for the courts to decide. Once the courts are on the verge of coming to a decision, I think there's a lot of nervousness cutting across the political spectrum about what the implications of any verdict are. And some of this nervousness is reflected even in the BJP. But I don't think BJP is the only political party which is nervous about the debate. Now, I think really everyone is playing a wait-and-see game. They don't want to reveal their hands because of the possible repercussions of what may happen.
Right, so everyone's in a sense waiting to see what actually happens. Very quickly, Abhishek Singhvi, we heard Ambika Soni's appeal today for everyone to remain calm. Is this something that you think the Congress party, the government is genuinely concerned about? This could lead to some major breakdown of communal peace, and just before the Commonwealth Games, I guess that's the last thing that the government would want in any case. I mean, it wouldn't want to every time, but right now, in particular, I guess there'd be some nervousness which is why the desire to push it out.
Well, Vikram, you have to hope for the best, but always prepare for the worst. And there are enough mischievous elements out there in different quarters who can stoke a complete non-issue. The ordinary, average human beings are all sensible. But there are enough people out there to try to misguide and inflame them. And that's certainly, I think, a legitimate concern for the state government, for the central government, and for any right-thinking body of individuals who have to administer governance. It's obviously something for which you have to be prepared. It doesn't mean that you want the worst or you expect the worst, but you have to be prepared for it.
Zafar Abdulani, do you think that's something which we should be concerned about, that if the verdict goes one way or the other, there is a real chance that you could have communal trouble after a pretty long time, I must say?
You see, now when the RSS, BJP, VHP, they have all issued appeals to their cadre that not to do anything which may disturb the peace. I don't think that there is much to be worried about, but still, the state government has taken precautions and has made arrangements, and today's appeal issued by the central government is a welcome step, that the central government also issued an appeal, formal appeal to the people of India and also to the parties, that wait and see, and if you are dissatisfied with the verdict, you can go and appeal. Therefore, there is nothing to be worried about and there is nothing to come on the streets. I hope that it will have its effect. And just now, a few hours back, I was hearing Mr. Katiyar also. He was saying that there is nothing to be worried. There is no threat to peace and tranquility. So let us rely upon their statement.
All right, we hear you loud and clear. Abhishek, thanks for joining us. Mr. Gunayan, thanks for joining us as well. Very quickly, Sopan, when the Ram Janmabhoomi Babri Masjid movement started in the 80s, things were different. It was an emotive issue at that time. Now the country has moved on. Do you still think this is an issue that could lead to a lot of polarization, a lot of divisiveness, and God forbid, even violence?
Well, I think the basic premise in your question is wrong. I think, the Ram Janmabhoomi movement, why it captured the imagination of a substantial section of the Hindus in the late 80s, early 90s, was not merely due to religiosity. It was an expression of protest against a system which was no longer delivering. If you remember, those were the last dying gasps of the license permit Raj, which is really one of the reasons why a substantial section of the middle classes joined in this whole movement. It was not merely the rural folk who participated out of a feeling of veneration and religiosity. There was a large modern element which took it.
So Sopan, I guess, I'm taking your point forward again. Hopefully that all of that means that it was something specific to that time and place and may not necessarily arouse the same emotion this time around. At least that's something all of us can wait for. Anyway, let's see what happens finally in court tomorrow, and then we'll know whether we should expect a verdict 1 week later or whether in some way or other it's all going to get deferred. We're going to take a very quick break right now. When we come back, special discussion. Priyanka Chopra and Ranbir Kapoor joining us. Also, Mary Kom heading for a record 5th World Amateur Championship. Let's see if she's going to be joining us as well. And all the rest of our stories also will be. Another crackdown there by the Navy, yet another third successful crackdown this time in Thailand. And this now looks as if it's going to be our best monsoon in 35